It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 543. Tonight I'm joined by Emo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Hello.
Grace.
Hello.
Kodra.
Garma!
Tam.
Hello.
And Thalen.
Hi there.
So this is a topic that got bumped from last week. Because Grace was out last week, and that's why I bumped it.
Yep.
We got a new banner in Destiny Rising, and we have a champion that is an awoken former crow named Helhest. And she is pretty freaking awesome. And kind of the verdict was out when I first put this topic on here, but like the longer that I have had to play with the champion, she is freaking cool. Like she's a bow character, and this banner brought the first two bow characters, but also like summons drones, and more importantly, can generate heavy ammo, making her kind of amazing for every single group that could use that character. Also Arc, and it felt like we really only had one really strong Arc character.
Yeah, she's all around great. She's got buffs, she's got heals, she's got lots of precision damage. It's just fun. Like, I still love my Estella because summons, but Helhest is pretty fun.
This feels like the gacha game thing of making the new banner character overpowered.
The thing is like she still pales in comparison damage-wise to a lot of the other characters. This character is just kind of a Swiss Army knife. Like it's fairly technical because you have to manage your drones, because unlike the summons from Estella, your drones don't follow you. So you have to place them in some place where they're not going to get sniped and killed, so that they keep, giving the party buffs. So there's more to playing the character than just this character is now overpowered. But I mean, it's a precision champion, and that was a kind of a limited group. We really only had Tantu and Yumiko. And I feel like Helhest is more powerful than both of them just because of the group functionality that she brings to the table.
She's certainly, for me, she's more fun to play than either of the other two. I think Tantu can be really powerful because he also has buffs and heals, but his kit, while similar, does not feel as fun.
Right. Well, and also the bow is just nice because, you don't ever really have to reload, since every time you plink an arrow, it's loaded back to plink the next arrow. So the act of pulling the bow is the thing that's loading your shot.
Yeah, I mean, technically there's a reload, but the time is incredibly short compared to any other weapon, and so it feels nice.
Well, and it's also like part of this banner, well, actually technically part of the battle pass that went in with this whole reset. They introduced Trinity Ghoul, which is an exotic bow from Destiny 2. And the thing about that is if you're doing a precision shot, it just fires like a really powerful precision shot. Or if you're just plinking it without aiming down the sight, it fires 3 arrows. So that kind of gives you, this is a clear weapon versus this is a single target weapon with the same weapon, which is nice.
Yeah, that helps a lot with some of the solo content, which is timed, and you have to clear through packs quickly, and it's nice not to have to very precisely shoot things down. That bow will just let you erase them very easily.
We've started doing some of the Grandmaster content, and whoa, does it crank up the difficulty level.
Yes.
We did a Grandmaster Blitz, or Gauntlet Blitz, which is normally this is a thing that you just queue with. Like, I've done Grandmaster, or I've done a normal Gauntlet Blitz or a heroic Gauntlet Blitz where I was the only human player on the party and the rest was filled with bots. Because that's the thing that the game does, is if you're trying to queue for something and there's not enough players on at that moment, it will fill it with bots, and the bots do a reasonable job of doing the things. So, like, I've effectively soloed Gauntlet Blitz before, but Grandmaster Gauntlet Blitz is a whole other thing.
It felt like a proper raid. It was extremely. It surprised me how fun it was. Like,
Yeah,
I expected it to be miserable, and because the master level strikes, they take a little bit of doing. They're a bit of a mental adjustment, the way that they work and how tanky some of the mobs are.
Well,
But
the big thing there is they just add a bunch of the Shinkas, which are these specific kinds of mobs that have a shield that can only be broken if you do impact damage or spread damage or precision damage. So, like, you have to bring someone with a specific kit to take those things out.
I mean, they technically, most of them can be brought down by other means, but it is not a fun thing to do. Like, I have definitely been in a group that didn't have precision damage and slowly chipped away at those shields in master mode and hated life.
Yeah, me too.
But the Blitz adds additional mechanics, and it made things way more interesting, felt way more like a proper raid, and really made me wish that we had a group of a few more people to do these with together and kind of go in blind in some of them, and just mess around. Because when we started, it was just the two of us, and we foolishly just zoned in, and started the event with just the two of us in this 6-person content.
Yeah, and we figured we'll figure it out. Like, we'll see where we go from here.
And that was foolish, but it gave us a couple attempts to figure out the mechanics so that by the time strangers started actually joining the group, we could make a little bit more progress. But yeah, I went into that expecting kind of misery, and instead it was a shockingly fun time.
Yeah, there was a mechanic where basically, like, these singularities would spawn, and whenever they were coming up, you basically had to place yourself in a good spot so that you could DPS them down as they sucked you towards them, because if you got to them, you died instantly. So it was a whole, okay, do the normal mechanics, and then, oops, here's a singularity coming. We got to stop what we're doing, get to a safe spot so that we can burn it down real quick so that we can continue on with the mechanics. And it was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah, and then I did another one later, and that one, the mechanic was you couldn't stand too close to other players or you would start damaging each other. So there's a very clear ring around everybody, that you had to sort of keep distance, and it was interesting trying to place buffs and adjust like melee characters to make sure that everybody could still get full DPS up on the boss while not overlapping and Venn diagramming someone.
Yeah, there's a mechanic that happens with the master level strikes where someone has to carry this orb, and it creates a giant bubble around that player. But, like, all of the players have to stay within that bubble more or less. Like, you can get out for a while, but the longer you're at, you will start taking damage. So that means everybody has to, get through it together as a clump, which isn't always beneficial. Like, there's certain mechanics that you split up a lot of times, and you got to be really careful. Either you got to do it quickly and get back to the bubble, or everybody has to go together. And it's interesting.
Yeah, that was a calamity ops this time around, and yeah, you basically see how the group is doing, and then when you get to the parts where you might usually split up, you have a sense of, are we gonna live if we split up, or do we have to stick together? I've tried both ways, and it has worked both ways, but I wouldn't recommend both ways for every group.
Yeah, the most annoying part on that is like right now there's the strike is pit, and there's this point where you usually split the party and go clear platforms and get an orb, and then you have to bring the orb and dunk it back in a central column thing. And usually like you send a group to each. But the problem is the orb bearer is carrying the orb. They can't pick up anything else. So getting it across to players that like, I can't pick this thing up, you need to pick it up, is a bit of a challenge at times. Especially since I don't use voice comms. So I don't know, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's been fun getting geared up enough to dip into some of the most challenging content. Like, managed to do the Grandmaster stuff a bit. I managed to clear the Expanse this week. And yeah, like having challenging single player stuff feels really good also for me. I can bounce between different things and they're all rewarding in different ways. I just still am constantly shocked how much I'm enjoying the game. 'Cause, I mean, I like Destiny 2, but I am really enjoying this.
It I went back and I figured out how to actually do content in Destiny 2 just because I wanted to compare and contrast Destiny Rising to Destiny 2. And I've also been playing a little bit of Destiny 1 on the PS5. And I gotta say, like, having played all three, I feel like the gunplay of Destiny Rising is just better. It feels punchier, and the fact that you have way more space magic in this game, like, and I get that this is a thing that Tam said once upon a time, is like, it does feel better. The fact that like I have more magic type abilities to throw around on shorter cooldowns rather than just only relying on my gun. And even the gunplay feels a little bit better. Like, graphics aren't quite to the same level as Destiny 2, but the game feels really good to move around in it.
Yeah, I like the variety of abilities that all the characters have, and I know it's not everyone's jam that it's in a gotcha game, so you have to keep pulling to get the characters to be able to play with all those different abilities. But just having that variety in addition to all the weapons, I think makes a huge difference. And some of them play just extreme wildly differently
Yeah.
from anything else in Destiny even.
I will say, like, I have this, like, kind of. I don't play a lot of gotcha games, so I'm a little nervous about getting into them. But I have to remind myself that what you're describing sounds a lot like what if Destiny actually learned the lessons of what made Mass Effect 3 multiplayer one of the best multiplayers ever. And I'm kind of into that.
That was a gotcha game.
That was a
Just
gotcha
for the
game
record.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about this one is like the gotcha is relatively fair, forgiving, not punitive.
ME3 was not. ME3
like-
did not have a nice, fair gotcha.
No,
Like-
it did not.
Like, the thing
That
is,
was
is,
awful.
is if you did not have any way of getting the banner currency stocked up, it would maybe cost you $20-$30 at most if you just want a copy of the new character. And that's not that different than buying a champion in another game.
And I feel like with this one, I am treating it like an MMO, which Destiny has always sort of been. And I am paying the subscription fee on a monthly basis to get access to the extra currency and both the currency for the banners and currency for upgrades and things. And that, having played now also both on my main account and an alt account that I have spent $0 on, the $0 account is still completely functional. It's just going to be, it can feel already that it's going to be a little slower to get things geared up. But have had some good luck on pulls there and have plenty of characters to play with.
Yeah,
But
I've also got a quote unquote free account because we did this thing so that we could build the guild without having to worry about trying to rope a bunch more people into playing. So we have a guild up and running now, which was cool. But on my second account, yeah, like I'm already through the main story quest, and I've got like 2 of the mythic champions and all of the 4 stars, I think, the legendary ones, and have like multiple copies of some of those. So, and have picked up a handful of exotic weapons too. So it would be perfectly reasonable if you didn't spend a single dime on it.
I think just the regular baseline free log into the game for 14 days thing gives you 2 exotic weapons and a bunch of currency and pulls on the banner. So it's nice. And just, again, continue to be shocked how solidly fun the gameplay is.
We also got Tricora to happen this week.
We did. It was everything we hoped it would be.
It was
What
so
is
dumb.
this?
Ikora is the worst character. Okay.
That's debate. No.
Who do you think is worse than Ikora?
The shotgun dude. Hate that dude.
Oh, yeah. See, I like him. He is exclusively melee range. So that is a strike against him, but Ikora's got problems. And like we said a couple weeks ago, Ikora has a single shot grenade launcher and a single shot rocket launcher, and that is her kit. And you just got a lot of downtime between hits. So when we were playing in the PvE mode, we just saved all of the abilities in case we got attacked, because we weren't going to be able to get many shots off real quick.
Yeah, I talked my spouse into trying this game because he enjoyed Destiny 2 and he seemed to be enjoying it, and we coerced him into a third Ikora so we could have our Tricora in the PvP. And it was just as goofy as we hoped it would be. I think we came in like 4th.
Something like that. We didn't we weren't last, at least.
Right.
Yeah, he's been humming along right until the point where he had to do fishing.
Yeah, he wasn't thrilled about having to do fishing, but he's gonna get past it. It's all right.
Is your Tricora build the premise of this? Like, if we hit you with 3 rocket launchers, you're dead?
Basically, because we would try and stagger our grenades so that, like, I fire one, Grace fires one, and eventually, like, it's getting to the point where, like, you're hitting with a grenade constantly, if you can get that off. But mostly it was just like, this is not a great character. We have to do 10 of these for an achievement. This is going to be funny.
Yeah, there's no reason for us to be doing this except that we have brought it upon ourselves because we're trying to be completionist, and also because it's silly.
What is He Is Coming?
This is a game that I had looked out before. It's in early access, and it is, I think it's still currently on sale for a little bit, and so it's less than $10, and I decided to give it a try. But it is very extremely retro graphics, and it is a roguelite calls itself a roguelite RPG auto battler.
The
And so
interface looks extremely roguelike until it gets to the battle screen.
So it's really, it's just falls in the category of games that I have picked up because I just want something that's extremely chill. And this, it's all about wandering around the map and finding upgrades and random items and various magical things that will combine items or swap items or do different things to upgrade your gear. And then when you encounter a monster, it's just auto battle. And so you're just trying to set up as many silly combos with your equipment as possible so that you survive the random battles, because there's no activity or active skill involved in the battle. And again, when I'm seeking a chill time, this is perfect because I get to think about my kit and what items I'm going to pick up or keep or trade, but then I don't have to stress out even slightly about the fighting. And I was worried that it might be sort of boring to just have auto battling, but it's actually pretty fun. I'm enjoying it because it's challenging to get builds set up. And you see, you have a certain number of days, so a certain amount of movement around the map before a boss, and you can see which boss is coming, so you can do your best to adjust your builds for that particular boss.
Oh, okay.
And you have a limited number of turns of movement around the map to try to do that. And so yeah, it's a good combination of like thinking and planning ahead, and then just watching the battles unfold and crossing your fingers that it goes the way that you want it to. So yeah, it's still in early access, and
Is this
I-
kind of like Loop Hero?
Graphically, yes.
I haven't played that, so I'm not sure.
I do not think it is mechanically very much like Loop Hero.
Okay. I thought Loop Hero was at least somewhat auto battler as well.
Loop Hero is also very much an auto battler, but its actual gameplay is extremely weird.
It's about building the world around you.
This is more about exploring the map and adjusting your gear for the boss that you're going to be fighting. But yeah, gotten through a few different bosses, and have just been picking it up here and there when I want, a couple quick minutes of chill gameplay. I definitely recommend it, and I'm really interested to see how it progresses as it moves through early access. But it's also, what I played so far at least has felt pretty complete and not particularly buggy. So for early access game, it seems completely reasonable.
This week we started getting spoilers for Path of Exile League 3.27, and it is called Keepers of the Flame. And we only have a teaser trailer so far, and the full reveal is on the 23rd. But it looks like we're maybe getting a Breach expansion of some sort, because it definitely seems to be involving the Breach characters known as the Hiveborn. So yeah, like we're starting to get like the weird little quality of life spoilers. So a couple things that have come out that, like, in Heist, you will no longer have to level rogues. Rogues, when you get them, just have the correct skills on them. So
Thank you.
that has always been kind of a pain in the butt.
Right. I don't think I've ever successfully leveled those.
I have, but like it's a very intentional thing that you have to do. So like that's cool. And another little quality of life thing that they announced is in it, like they've had gold respec for the passive tree for a while. they're adding gold respec to the Atlas passive tree and also adding in like a full respec option that just like resets your tree back to empty.
The thing they've needed to have since the game launched, they're finally adding it.
They're finally adding it. Like, because right now, the only way you get that is if they make changes enough to modify the systems and, you know, they deem that you get a full respec. But yeah, you'll just...
How many hours do you have to play to be able to afford that?
It looks like it was 2,800 gold, which isn't that much, or 28,000 gold, which is really not that much. Like,
that's actually not that much.
No, like you're getting more than that in running a map easily. You'll probably pull about 100k gold in really good maps, but
that is an amount that you will see in the campaign before you get too far.
Right.
And it will also probably be cheaper if you have not spent that many points.
But like that's, you know, I don't know if regrets, and I don't remember what the regret for Atlas passives was called. I don't know if those will still exist or not, but like I would be fine if they just went away.
Yeah.
I could see them not doing that because they are like, gold is interestingly not tradable. Gold is a measure of how long you've spent playing the game, more or less.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Like, I mean, because it has greatly reduced what regrets were worth. So, you know, a lot of times it might be cheaper for you to just go get some regrets than to, you know, respec in the current version. But it looks like, you know, with the full reset, it's just going to be easier to full reset if you have to make too many changes. But like, we'll probably get slow rolled releases throughout the week. But so far, like, I'm intrigued, and they're saying this is a big balance pass expansion. So we'll see if what they break.
All of the builds are going to be dead, and it's only going to be a new build somebody discovers that is going to be able to clear content.
This isn't PoE 2.
It hasn't been like that for a while. Like,
no, they did absolutely murder Hexblast Mines last year.
I was about to say,
they did.
You're talking to the Hexblast Miner here.
They did.
And they have previously murdered, what was it, Tornado Shot?
Yeah, but like, that's when Tornado Shot died, Elemental Hit became the powerhouse, and it just kept trucking along.
Yes, they did not fix the archetype. They just nerfed to one skill.
Right. They did announce that while mercenaries are not going core, they are intending to add them in one form or another later. And mercenaries were really freaking cool, but also it is kind of overpowered that you can just put Doriani's prototype on something and like
have it not be you.
My Stormbrand of Indecision character had a merc that was giving everything negative 220 lightning resistance, which made a lightning-based Stormbrand real powerful.
The opportunity cost for this, by the way, is usually quite high. Doriana's prototype copies your lightning resist to all nearby things and causes armor to apply to lightning damage. So you do get armor to lightning damage, but you no longer get lightning resist.
Yeah, but mercs, for the most part, didn't really take into account much elemental resist, so it didn't hurt them to have super negative resist. So you basically just had a buff bot.
Doriana's prototype doesn't make you that much weaker against lightning damage, generally speaking, because again, it allows armor to apply to lightning damage from hits, except for lightning-based dots, in which case they just instantly kill you.
Right. I've not actually built around Doriani's prototype. Like, it has been a thing that has been suggested, but also it seemed like a bad idea, so I have not done that thing. I will mourn the fact that I once again had an extremely powerful brand build.
Maybe someday. I would, again, really like it if they could figure out how to nerf things without just completely taking them out back.
Yeah. We'll see.
11th Hour seems to have figured this out.
They kind of are the gold standard for taking something down a couple pegs instead of taking it out of rotation.
Judgment Paladin is still good.
Part of the problem, too, is a lot of the decimation is in the minds of players because, generally speaking, without any mechanical changes from grinding gear games, a lot of times those abilities make their way right back when people realize, yeah, they're probably still fine.
There are exceptions. Seismic Trap is still bad after it got nerfed several leagues ago.
Yeah, that one.
I've tried that one.
That one was such a problem child, though, amongst like.
I did play it
levelers.
once when it was good. It was very good.
It destroyed the economy with boss rushing. Not that, that's the only case of destroying the economy, because Lord knows we've had a bunch of runaway inflation leagues. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what this league ends up looking like, because we know for certain that automated auction house is going in. They have already said that much.
We'll see what breaks.
That will make it infinitely better just by itself. So we bumped this one, and we think it's possibly a long topic, but there's an excessive number of games coming out at the exact same time or in short order, and there's no way in hell any of us can keep up with things.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
This has been a bit of a year, especially the second half of this year.
It's a lot, and it's interesting to me, like, on the one hand, yes, it's a lot. There are so many games. But also, it makes me think about, like, what the way you make games in that environment is so different. Like, once upon a time, World of Warcraft released, like, would drop its expansions specifically to kill opposition in the cradle. And they never stopped trying to do that. It's just not effective anymore.
Well,
and it's
their games became such a niche that them specifically can't do it anymore.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, there's some interesting stuff with, like, that throughout the whole, like, early 2010s, it feels like it was all about get players into your game and make sure they never leave. And just people aren't doing that anymore. And the people who are doing it, like, they're not keeping players around.
Right.
And
it's laughably backfiring.
With some exceptions.
Some exceptions, definitely. Like, and that's what I think is really interesting. Like, some places, some people are continuing to succeed at that.
Well, so this has recently happened. Speaking of Destiny, this has recently happened with Bungie, and the last expansion that they did, they slowed down the leveling and extended out the grind, thinking that they could just artificially inflate player hours and players would continue to consume content in the same pattern that they've been up to this point. And almost universally, everybody was like, nope, not going to do that. And they have reached the lowest, player concurrency levels that they've had since the original fall off around Curse of Osiris, when they were trying to decide whether or not they were going to continue Destiny as a franchise. And like, that is all a series of events that was spawned by players rebelling against the grind.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I do think there are, like, kind of notably, we're in the middle of two games that came out that just kind of blew up a bunch of other game schedules.
Yeah. Well, and that's the really interesting thing, right? Like, because, I mean, you're talking about Silksong and Hades.
Yeah. Silksong and Hades 2 came out, and there's a whole bunch of games that are just kind of fleeing to not lose their attempt at having a release.
More on the indie side, though. Like, major games didn't really move much.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Did you know Borderlands 4 came out?
Yes. I heard it was okay. I've heard very mixed things about it, actually. But, like, mixed is better. Mixed has mostly meant it's better than Borderlands 3 or the pre-sequel.
Yeah, I would agree. It just, like, it had performance issues when I was trying to play it.
But also, it landed in the middle of September.
Yeah, I was like,
so
truly,
while we have mentioned it on this podcast, it hasn't gotten a lot of play.
Truly, the past couple of weeks have been us trying to figure out how to fill time, as I spend a ton of time in Silksong and Hades 2.
And the piece of that that sits with me, because I've been doing the same, and there are so many things that both of those games could have done to demand more of my time and didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I've played so much more of them because they're not. Like I'm playing it because I'm having fun with it. And like I'm a little like I've hit the point where there's just not much left for me to do in Hades, and that makes me sort of sad because at no point did I feel like it was like trying to force me to play more. And in fact, several times we're like, cool, you got to the end. That's neat. And I'm like, oh, really? Oh, just kind of disappointed, actually.
This is interesting and in conflict with what I was talking about last week, but maybe I have not yet gotten to a point where they are willing to tell me it's the end.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Like I haven't gotten to credits yet, so the game still wants me to keep playing it.
But definitely have already hit the point fairly early of killing the enemy that you initially start the game, trying to kill this enemy. This is your whole mission in life. And, did so. And the game was pretty clearly saying, hey, there's
There's
some more.
Yeah, there's a lot more here. You're not done. You're not done.
Well, and then post credits, like without trying to spoil anything, like the things are said in character that are basically like, this could keep going for a while. We don't know how long don't know how long this, how long this is going to take. How many times you'll have to win to finish this. Like, no way of knowing. But there's also no time crunch. So just when you have opportunity.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, like meta-textually, it's sort of saying, I mean, cool, you did it. Like, there's other stuff to do. Like, if you want to keep playing this game, you can keep playing this game, but like, you don't have to sit and grind to do everything. Like, Silksong did not demand that I do the grindiest things in that game, even to get 100% completion. And that's just an interesting, like, I play more of the game and respect it more as a result. And it feels like, I mean, we talk about games respecting your time. Like, I feel like it respected my time in that sense. Like, it's not saying, hey, guess what? You're stuck.
Man, it's fascinating because I definitely agree with this, which mostly I've thought a lot about this because I read a number of articles about people feeling like Silksong, some of the decisions in Silksong, quote, didn't respect their time. And I was like, a lot of it for me became, what does it mean when I say a game doesn't respect your time? And I think as long as a game is, if a game is to the point where the conclusion is foregone, it's just asking me to put more time in it, that's kind of where I check out. That's where I feel like a game is no longer respecting my time. Like if I am going to fail at something a whole bunch while I try and get better at it, that is not a game disrespecting my time. That is a game being a game and me having to improve.
Yeah, and like in the Hades example, at the point at which it's like you have reached the conclusion, like the conclusion is known, you could keep playing, but you don't have to.
Well, and I know that Supergiant respects my time because God mode exists.
Also that, yeah.
Like that's
And
I
that
I have
they-
not used it, but I'm happy that it's there. Just
Yeah.
knowing it's there makes me feel better.
And that they clearly say, this is a thing you can do. Do it if you feel underpowered or you're struggling or if you just feel like it. And that is nice and kind.
Yeah, do you want to just have fun? Like, we don't care if you're here for the challenge or if you're here just to see cool stuff. Like, we just want you to enjoy yourself. And I feel like this is a thing that the successful games are really catching, and the ones that are like, there's a lot of AAA games that are sort of struggling with this concept because they're still in this absolutely you must dominate this the audience's attention for as long as you possibly can, until we get our next game out. And it just doesn't, when you've got so many options of interesting things to play, like, it just doesn't feel that compelling to have that kind of game demanding that.
It is back to the whole like Destiny devs trying to like slow down the grind and stretch things out to get their numbers up, like everything being metric driven, and like it definitely feels like AAA is more interested in having more samey content in a lot of games.
AAA feels like it's floundering right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is why I kind of was super resistant to a game like Cyberpunk, because I've played so many Ubisoft open world games where the open world just feels like it's there to aggravate me and like have me collect things. And even like early on in Cyberpunk, I was like, oh, you want me to like, here is X number of like cyber psychos that I'm gonna go do. Like that being one of the first quests really put me in a like off-put mood, because I was like, all of these are just going to be the same, and I'm not going to care about any of these. And it turns out that's not actually
not at all
true. All of those characters have interesting stories. Like it's not just content. It doesn't feel like incredibly cheap. It feels like they're all designed with some level of intentionality, and a lot of them you actually approach in slightly different ways.
I ended up in a rant in the ARPG channel. I don't know, it was either Thursday or Friday, talking about Diablo 4, and mostly that like it feels like the thing that Blizzard delivers is so much smaller than the thing that Grinding Gear or 11th Hour delivers, and they're not really moving that game ahead. It's so much disposable throwaway content that just goes away and like, okay, cool. But it feels like, I don't know, like, I mean, maybe it's the not respecting the time of the player by evolving the game. But it was the same problem with like Destiny and Warframe. Warframe just puts so much more stuff into their game.
Yeah.
The thing though is Warframe is allowed to be extremely experimental when they want to be. It doesn't always work, and it doesn't always work the first time if it does eventually work.
But if you're swinging a lot and you're releasing a lot, there's forgiveness when the things don't land.
Yes.
Yeah. And boy, is that a thing that I know. Like, I respect games that are taking big swings, because yeah, they're going to screw it up sometimes. But boy, would I rather have a game that screws it up than a game that is too afraid to take risks for fear, like, oh no, we might change the formula too much, and so we don't touch it. And I'm like there was a long time where I was like, I'm just done with Pokemon, because it's the same game I've been playing since Red and Blue. And like, that's great for their target audience, which is people who are the age that I was when I started playing Red and Blue. And like, more power to them, but it means that I'm not like buying Pokemon games, because I'm like, there's no meat on the bone left for me.
This is why I love Legends Arceus and didn't really care for Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you're doing something interesting and new. And yeah,
like Scarlet and Violet was a bit of a swing and a miss on the whole open world idea, but you know, it was them trying a new idea.
Yeah. And like, yeah, it's gonna get screwed up sometimes, but yeah, and I feel like it's that kind of thing that makes me more interested when there are so many games out. It's like I feel like we have so many games being released on a constant basis now that games have to stand out. And like, you know, obviously some of this is I make MMOs for a living, and what is an MMO that people will actually play look like in 2020s? You know, it's a big challenge to kind of figure out what does that even mean, because you can't do all of the stuff that you used to. If Final Fantasy 14 released the way it did in, what was that,
2012?
Like today, it would just bomb.
And people mostly seem to want drop-in, drop-out experiences,
which is definitely a challenge of the classic like MMO. Like, is it a fool's errand to even try and have a game that has a community if everything has to be drop in, drop out?
I mean, there's probably ways to foster that, but it's also clear there's a lot of games that don't seem to care about that anymore. And we struggle with this in Destiny Rising, where they've got a whole guild system, and it's just the way that it's built, it is very clearly intended to just be a transactional thing where people group up because they're getting something out of it, and not this is a thing we have made so that we can play with our friends.
It was such a colossal pain in the ass for us to form a guild. Like, we had 24 hours to collect 6 signatures. And, like, you had to make sure everybody was available and at that time, and also had left the Wanderers Pack guilds, which are like these temp guilds that you can join.
And
Because
also,
you can't even invite somebody until they've left.
right, and have gotten far enough through the story
Yeah.
to be able to invite them.
Yeah, that was why we ran up alt accounts, and it still took a little while for us to get to the point where we could do that thing. But yeah, like it's weird. Like I still feel like that the way open world exists in Guild Wars 2 is probably the most positive drop in, drop out grouping experience, where it doesn't matter if you're formally grouped with someone, you're still benefiting by the existence of those players. Or like there's a really good public quest system in Destiny Rising that's also great, that you just like follow the train around, and it's simplistic enough that you can pick it up quickly and everybody just does the thing. I feel like those situations are really interesting, where you have like really low stakes and it is never a negative for you to see other players in the world.
Yeah, well, it's really hard to accomplish that. And it's interesting because I feel like, you know, there's Grace's comment about it, like it's not even trying to be a social community, it's just trying to be a contacts repository, you know, or having the same weight as like a social media follow or less.
Yeah.
Because it's like the mobile game guild concept. And you know, there's a couple of mobile games I've played where I've been in a guild, and like guild chat doesn't happen, or rarely happens.
A lot of times it doesn't even exist.
Yeah, a lot of times it doesn't even exist. And the guild is like, our one rule is that people who haven't logged in a week get kicked.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there's a cap on how many people you can have in your guild.
Right.
And so you don't want to have dead weight in your guild, so you just kick people who aren't active. And it's a rule that everybody understands. It's like, oh, well, that person got kicked. And every week you see like, oh, well, these people are not around, so we're kicking them. But it feels very
real
transactional.
bad.
Yep.
I mean, if we weren't the people that we are, that is effectively how the guilds work in Destiny Rising. Is like, I mean, if you wanted maximum benefit, you would want the most active people in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's how the guilds work in every gacha game. And one upshot of this is that in most gacha games, a whole bunch of guilds, you know, are created when the game starts or when a new server starts, since so many of them have rolling servers. And then as time passes, guilds decay. And everybody wants in the top guilds because the top guild gets the most rewards. And so it's all about jockeying for that. And I don't know. It just it doesn't feel good.
Like, it makes me wonder, like, okay, does the Chinese mobile player base or the South Korean mobile player base just not make long-term friends? Because
I don't even think it's
games
I don't even know
have
if it's
that.
just that.
I think it's all about leaderboards with them. They just pay to be the highest on the leaderboards, and that's just what they like to do. But friendship isn't really a thing there. It's just status and how much you can whale.
Well, and some of it may be because, I mean, mobile games, when gacha games began, like, there's no real easy way to communicate in a mobile game early on. Even now, there's usually not, which is why most guilds, you know, in mobile games require you to join their Discord. And yeah, I don't know how much of it is the type of people that play the games. I don't know how much of it is the way the games were designed initially, and that's just this is the design of these games. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I was having a conversation at work with somebody who I mentioned like, oh, we want to be able to support people making friends in the game, and they're like, and genuinely, they were like, I have never had that experience. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I'm guessing,
like
I'm
to
guessing
me,
this person is
it's-
probably younger than us.
No.
Really? Wow.
And I was just like this person has been playing online games as long or longer than I have, but just that's flatly not their experience. And it was just wild to because we were both looking at each other like, I was like, oh yeah, I make all kinds of friends online. I have some of my best friends are people that I've met through World of Warcraft or whatever. And it was like, I don't think I could name a single friend of mine that I have met through an online game. And it's just like, oh, that's a completely alien concept to me.
Both of you like, have I slipped into an alternate reality?
Well, okay, so even in Destiny Rising, as scant as the social systems are, I made a few friends in the random Wanderers Guild that I was in. Like, and I was trying to like arrange a time for them to bip out of their guild and join the one we created. Like, so maybe it's just I don't know, but like I was also an IRC junkie, and I took all of those same traits and transferred them to MUDs and MMOs and all of these things. So like I guess maybe I just had a mindset for meeting people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and
it happens way less often now than it used to, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I was just thinking like we've been recording this show for over 10 years now, and it's really interesting to me that we started this show because we were all playing the same games all the time.
Yeah.
And at this point, we are very rarely playing the same games all the time, and that's because there's so many more games. Like, it's not just World of Warcraft or Get Out.
Yeah, well, and the types of experiences have diversified, so there's no mono game anymore.
Yeah, it's not you're playing. I mean, heck, I remember as a kid, it was like, oh, the game that came out, I don't even like very much, but I played it start to finish because that was the game.
It was at the Blockbuster.
Yeah, like this is the game.
I paid the $60 for the game. Now I only have that game until I save up $60 more.
I paid to rent the 8-bit Nintendo Dragonlance game, so I played that damn game, even though it was terrible.
The worst thing, though, was when you're trying to beat a game like that, and you're like renting it, and also someone else is renting it, and you're hoping they didn't wipe out your save so that you can pick it up, later.
I didn't start. My first game console was the PS1, so this was never a thing for me.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a thing for me. Like I don't remember which games specifically I got through doing that thing, but it was like, please don't wipe out my save.
But actually, we had a similar conversation. Like when I got my PS1, I had 2 games. One of them was Perfect Weapon, which is an awful game no one should ever play. And it was so bad, even me, who had 2 games, never played it. Like I played it, I couldn't make it past like the first screen, and that was it for that game.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
but on the other plane was like G Darius, which is why I'm now really into shoot 'em ups.
Yeah, and like we were just talking about Borderlands 4, and like one of the things that I've heard about Borderlands 4 is like it's a thing that I sometimes hear about anime that's like, oh, okay, well the intro is rough, but it gets a lot better once you get past that. And like, or I could play a game that's good from the jump.
Oh.
And like, but that's not an opinion that I've always held. I only have that because I mean, again, returning to the there's so many games, like there are definitely games where I'm like, if I'm actually honest and thinking about it, beginning of this game is not very good, but it gets so good when you get there. Like some of my favorite games, this is true of. KOTOR KOTOR and KOTOR 2 do not have good intros. I mean, famously, BioWare games don't have good intros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BioWare didn't get very good at... BioWare got extremely good at making hooks and losing you immediately after that.
Yeah.
Man, my Mass Effect 2 experience.
Yeah. But like, yeah, and you know, there are so many games now that if I don't already know it's worth it, I don't have the patience for it. I wonder, and I sort of wonder if it's going to result in talking about AAA struggling. Like, does AAA need to change? You know, these big story games, they need to change what they're doing and how, just because people don't have the patience for them anymore.
Yeah, does AAA need to rescope?
Well, yes.
GTA 6 is eventually going to come out. Probably. But yes, AAA needs to rescope badly. We've had a lot of really high profile not successes.
Yeah.
Well, and there's been this story that's played out over and over and over in AAA of games struggling to find itself over the course of a really long time and an expensive burn. And I like, do you just not make the sequel to the game unless you've got a good idea ahead of time? Like,
Well,
it's
so
like, I think a lot of those situations are games where like they sit down saying, okay, we are making the next X. What is it going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because this is back to like one of the things that I think is probably the most true about AAA is just the number of people working on those is so much bigger than indie games that like it's going to like the more important thing is how do you maintain a consistent voice and vision that gets bought in by everyone working on this project that like doesn't mean everything feels incredibly like samey and like diffuse, which is the challenge of AAA. Like you need to have those real like that type of bought in vision. And that might I don't know if we ever really got to that level at the scale that we're currently trying to operate.
I don't know. Like, I think on some level, as AAAs have become more and more, Lever Incorporated that, sells a product that they own the IP for. I think they have this idea that like, oh, we have the IP, surely we can crank this out, not realizing that 95% of the people that were there that made the last game a success aren't there anymore. And like, maybe the people making the game matter.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, once upon a time, the wisdom was IP is king.
Yeah.
Have the thing that people want, and they will come for it. Because everybody looks at like Disney and is like, we want to be that.
Yeah, but Disney is also floundering
Mhm.
because they do this thing where they decide they're going to make a movie and don't have a script associated with it. They've got, actors lined up. They've got a director lined up. They don't know what they're making yet.
Well, it's also earlier Marvel. It was very clear that there were big differences between various movies based on who was directing it and who was creative. Like that, there's a reason we all know the name James Gunn now. It's because James Gunn was the guy who worked on Guardians of the Galaxy, and those movies were incredible, mostly because there was a very clear vision all the way through that production process for what those movies wanted to be. Like, there was strong direction. It wasn't a studio-driven decision. It wasn't yeah.
Yeah, and like one of the things that I think about is, it's like we're talking about this sort of like, you need to not be so risk averse. And then I look at like everything that's going on. Oh, this is the exact kind of scenario in which everybody becomes really risk averse.
Uh-huh.
And like, I don't think, I've seen people be like, oh, we're heading towards another video game crash. Like, I don't think that's actually what's going to happen. But there's definitely going to be like a weird change in how some of this stuff goes.
I'm not going to say there won't be a video game crash, but that's just because there's going to be an entire AI-driven crash.
A lot of institutions will crash.
Yeah, I mean, also, like, there's a whole bunch of people who think that they can make video games with generative AI, and they've got another thing coming.
You know how much I pay for things that have generative AI? Like, do you know how much I'm willing to pay for anything I have seen that has been made with AI? Nothing. It feels valueless.
People can definitely make video games full of Gen AI.
Sure.
I mean, it's possible, but that's not a thing anybody wants to play.
I mean, people made a pilot for that, animated show that was gonna star all the ape NFTs.
They did make that.
They made that
They
thing.
made 3 episodes of that thing.
Oh gosh.
Did they actually release the 3rd episode?
No.
I was about to say, I believe that was a comment from a Dan Olson video that they needed to release the 3rd episode or else they were cowards.
I mean, a lot of people have seen it. You can find it around, but it was not released the same way the first 2 were. The 3rd episode was them getting mad at people who didn't like the show.
Meta.
A famously good way to garner an audience.
Always.
I don't know. Hey, whatever happens, I'll have a whole big backlog of games from 2025 to keep me going for a while.
I think that's part of it too, because like all of us have massive Steam backlogs that we've never played.
God, yes.
Not even talking Steam backlogs.
Everyone has massive backlogs that they've never played.
So many games that released this year that I would like to play and haven't.
Yeah. And it's probably true of like last year too. I just don't remember them.
I'll be honest, this year feels very, very different. Like, I don't think any of my games of the year from last year would be on my top 5 list for this year.
Yeah, like this is definitely an upcycle year. I find it fascinating that even with as many games that are releasing, you still get that like, this is the year that everybody finishes their game effect. Like that's weird. Yeah, I'm also like weirdly curious. Like, are we gonna see a shift in the kinds of games being made again? Because like at some level, the like game industry writ large realizes that you can't infinitely compete for everybody's attention forever successfully. And so like if you made games that said actually it's okay if you take a break for a while,
seasonal games.
Yeah, like I rag on Path of Exile, but for a variety of reasons. But like at the same time, Path of Exile has more players had more players in year 8 than they did in year 2. That defies traditional understanding of live service games.
Yeah. That's
just not how they operate.
They have a lot of reset points, which allow for a lot of new onboarding and offboarding times.
Yeah, and people traditionally are terrified of that second thing, the offboarding. But also, I can come back to any Path of Exile season. I am more likely to play another Path of Exile season than I am to pick up another FF14 expansion, having completely missed the last one. Which is a weird thing to like genuinely, honestly say to myself.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing with, I think the thing that benefits Path of Exile a lot is there's gradations of stopping off points. Because like there are people for whom they just want to get through the campaign each league. And then there are people that like want to get through maps. And there are people that want to get through all of the bosses. Then there's people that want to get like 40 of 40 of the achievements. And like those are all places that you can stop at. You can also quarter the market and play, until the market dies. There's a bunch of different places where you can get off the train, depending on how serious you are about this or that. And none of it is necessarily treated as like more or less valid than anything else. Like having a good weekend and then bouncing is is a thing that a lot of people do in that game.
Yeah, and it's totally reasonable.
I mean, that was part of the reason why I liked back when we were playing D3 so much, is it was a really good weekend, and then I didn't have to care about it at all after that weekend.
Yeah, it was a touch point where people whose company I enjoyed were all doing the same thing for a change and could do that for a couple of days and then call it good.
Yeah, a couple of times I hopped in on that were great.
Yeah, it was a silly fun weekend, plus or minus a few days, and then we were done and ready to pack it up again for the next time. And I think those types of experiences are really valuable, because it's less likely that you're going to get somebody to commit for 3 months at a time, but a couple weekends. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then if you miss one, it's not that big of a deal, because a few months down the road, there's going to be another one.
Yeah, there is no missed progress from missing that one, because everybody's starting completely fresh next time.
Maybe games need to figure out how to not engender the sense of FOMO that they have been engendering for the past decade.
Yeah, it's like maybe there are so many games that it forces a change. Well, that your competitive advantage becomes, I didn't actually try to force you into the game, and so people keep coming back or want to pay, jump back into it or whatever, because it's easy.
Yeah, instead of desperately trying to hold on to the players and keep them from leaving, expect that they will leave and make it easy for them to come back.
And I don't know, that's probably blasphemy in the AAA publishing space. Maybe not even the AAA publishing space. I kind of wonder how the Helldivers 2 devs feel about that kind of concept. It probably scares them. I think I would probably be... I don't know what Helldivers 2 is doing right now, but they are not the game of the zeitgeist game of the moment anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you onboard people back into them.
Right.
Yeah,
I think a lot of what we've seen in video games is venture capitalist. If you're not making all the money, you're not doing it good enough.
That is definitely happening at the top end. Kickstarter games have been sort of quietly pumping away on the low end, because the giant Kickstarter boom of a decade ago has come and gone.
Mm-hmm.
We got our Hollow Knights and our Mighty Number 9s from this. So smaller games, there have been some room for.
I appreciate that games are an art form that enough people love that even when everybody at the top end falls apart, there will still be people plugging away, creating cool things that will be fun for me.
That's the huge advantage of there being so many games out, is that's why I say I don't think that there's going to be people have periodically asked me oh, do you think we're going to see an 80s style game crash again?
No,
everything looks so bleak. And I'm no, because it would be asking, do you think Hollywood would ever fail? People are still going to make movies.
I went out for brunch the other weekend and sat next to a table lovingly talking about their experiences with a certain Boston Silk song. So I think we're going to be okay.
But yeah, there are people who will spend years, decades just making a game that they then give away for free. There will always be games. The scope and the scale might change, but
I've got a friend on Mastodon that is making a Minecraft type game just to see if they could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's already doing some really interesting things.
Well, yeah, and you start to get into, we were talking about Supergiant earlier, or Claire Obscure, or all of these games are AA games.
Mm-hmm.
Once upon a time, we lost AA games. They just stopped doing the thing.
Yeah, there wasn't any room for them.
But there's a resurgence of AA games.
Well, because part of the thing that's happening at the same time is the tools keep getting better and better. And also, a lot of them are free. So you can just plug away at building stuff on your own if that is your inclination. I think, like, I don't know, like, a lot of the challenge, I think, at some of the AAA studios is they're still beholden to their own proprietary engines, and that is eating up so much time to ram a new technology into an old package.
There is, on some level, like, but it is easier. It is, there are advantages and disadvantages to sticking with the thing you have and know and built. I have seen a lot of, like, smaller 1 and 2 person devs struggle over the past, like, 2-ish years going, we're going to switch to Unreal Engine 5. Oh, God.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm mostly talking about, like, the few cases where there's been an engine that was hyper specific that has been tried to, make lots of different kinds of games out of it.
Yeah. Like, yeah, you
Yes.
certainly hear horror stories of, this engine was developed for this game, and now the parent company says use it for everything.
We were talking
we own
about
it.
Witcher 1 recently.
God, that is, that game is one of the worst game interfaces I think I've ever seen.
For those who are unaware, The Witcher 1, an action game, is running on a system designed for Neverwinter Nights 2, a CRPG.
I mean, it was essentially developed as a mod for Neverwinter Nights 2.
It has a serious interface gameplay mismatch. A very serious interface gameplay mismatch.
Well, and it's trying to do novel things that no one wants to do.
But it also got to inherit the problems with that system, like eternal loading times. It's a wonder they got a second game.
I have no idea what the second game was built in. Because
Something else.
It's a wildly different engine, but it's equally kludgy.
I have no clue, actually.
It's been really cool for me to see, like, oh, we've got a AA industry again.
It's great.
Yeah, there are actually there's room for games made by more than one person and less than hundreds.
I don't know. I think that part of the challenge is creativity is one of those things that may not be able to be scaled at a reasonable level. Like,
I mean, it's interesting because, like, this is, like, why you try and have directors, so they can ultimately try and guide decisions to follow what they have in their mind for what they want this to look like. It does feel like at some point, like, a lot, we focus more, and maybe this is part of it, is we focus more of our management's time on the business side and less on the creative. But I think that is maybe where there could be something else.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's also this move towards things on the development side that I'm like, I don't know how I feel about. Like, Claire Obscure is a great example of, like, okay, the core team was relatively small, but they had an army of contractors where it was like, okay, like, the core creative team is doing this and this, and then being like, okay, we're going to hire out a crew of 200 to actually build all of the individual things.
Yeah, it almost feels like the animation industry where, you've got the main animators that do the keyframes, and then they send the rest of the animation out to Singapore to tween between the keyframes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least that was the way that, like, traditional animation usually worked.
And that's absolutely happening in games where it's like, hey, we built the, here's the concept art and 50% of the assets.
Yeah, here's a storyboard of all the key points. Get between them.
Well, not even that. It's like, hey, we want to build the biggest open world ever. Our team is building, these basic assets, and here's some concept art. We're going to farm out building the rest of the assets to this group, and then we're going to farm out putting them all together into the world to this other group. And there's a lot of ways in which that's not better. Like, it is more the Hollywood model, because, like, that's absolutely how Hollywood works. It's like, oh, you contracted with these 3 special effects teams and this set designer team and this costumer and this other costumer.
Right. Like, if you've ever watched the credits,
yeah, it's why
they keep getting longer and longer.
Yeah, it's like they keep getting longer and longer, and you keep seeing like it's like, oh, animals done by whatever company that does animals, and metal shine special effects done by the metal shine special effects specialists. But the hollow computer special effects are being done by this other special effects team that does a completely different thing.
And then you've got another studio that's just compositing.
Yeah.
And that may be the realistic thing that has to happen, because I think one of the challenges that has happened at AAA studios is sometimes teams can just get too large to effectively manage.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you're trying to constantly shoot for the stars and you staff up your team like you're going to stars, then like your smaller jumps, you have way too many people for, and just like not everything needs to be that scope. I would love to see like I've been playing Power Wash Simulator while I've been on the show, but like I would love to see a constrained scope game like that made with the resources of somebody huge like Ubisoft, where it's like you can leverage those resources to do things that you couldn't otherwise.
It kind of sounds like that topic is wound down. Any other short things that anybody wants to discuss?
I have actually been playing Toho 20, the one that came out this year, and it's been an interesting time.
Is this a Toho shmup?
Yes, it is an entry in the actual mainline Toho series, so it's a shmup. And not one of the competitive ones.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that statement.
This is a normal one. You control a character. In this case, either Reimu or Marissa. Those are the only playable characters. But in return for stripping down the number of playable characters, they give you loadouts, which are all based on previous games in the series. So there is a loadout based on the various beasts that occurred in Wild Beast and Weakest Creature. There is one based on the weird doors on everyone's back from Hidden Star and Four Seasons. And the combination of like special ability and passive and shots all combines to make a loadout you could take into the game. And some things change based on what your primary is in this. So way more endings than usual, even though there are fewer characters than usual.
Got it.
Huh. That's cool.
What is, maybe I misunderstood, what is a competitive Toho game?
To back up a bit, Toho 3, 9, and 19 are all split-screen shoot-em-ups where you're on one side and your opposition is on the other.
Aha.
Much like the old game Twinkle Star Sprites, and your goal is to survive longer than your opponent. The things you do on your side, like specific actions you take, may usually cause junk to fly on the opponent side and vice versa.
So this is kind of
these can get very chaotic.
This is kind of a shmup version of Tetris Attack or Puyo Puyo?
Yeah.
Got it. Whereas this is more of a traditional one where there is a boss putting out patterns that you are avoiding while putting out damage down screen.
Correct.
And are there like, because I have seen people play these games, does this one also have big screen wiping abilities?
Yes, that is a standard in the genre, and it's how you live before you get good at the game.
Okay.
To be clear, it is how I live when I play these games.
I was about to say, I when I watch people play like who are incredibly good at them, they still use these abilities at certain points.
Yeah, bosses in for Toho specifically, the bosses have special attacks called spell card, and you invalidate your score bonus if you use a bomb during a spell card. But also, not dying is usually better than whatever score bonus you're going to get.
Yeah.
So for high score, are there like points at which the spell card is over that they can use it to reset the screen?
Yeah, bosses have non-spells. Well, the start of a spell card will reset the screen anyway.
Got it.
But the bosses have like non-spell attacks, which you can bomb through freely. And it's frequently useful to use a bomb during stages if you get overwhelmed. Like, they're extremely useful, even in high score runs. Just not for the hardest of boss attacks. But they're extremely useful when you're learning the game to go, all right, I'm struggling with this attack. Let me hit this button and make it be over.
I can't dodge all of these. Let's remove them.
How can I hold all these limes?
I will say this game has a particular mid boss that even on easy is completely ridiculous. So I have no idea what they were going for, but I have never made it through that without dying or bombing, or usually both. The game knows it though. You get a 1-up just for beating it. But I've been having an enjoyable time with that. I think I mentioned that it'd come out since I was playing Danmaku, was it Fantastic Danmaku Festival 3? A much more HD take on Toho games. And really, these are friendlier to newbies because you don't need to bother to get a translation patch. You don't need to just start with these. Fantastic Danmaku Festival. If you're interested in Toho games, these are Toho-like games that are very good.
Nice.
Yes, I noticed when I was looking at this newest Toho game on Steam, it said this is not available in your language.
Yes, but that's an overcomable obstacle.
Right.
They definitely posted a screenshot in Slack where one of the characters is telling you the riddle of the Sphinx. Which characters? Someday Marissa is going to be, a reasonable character, but not today. The main character gets it right and gets attacked anyway because the Sphinx is a meanie.
Sounds reasonable. The Sphinx is hungry.
That sounds like it's a show. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.
See you.